with us up to day 6, which is today. And today we're gonna give a round robin and a review of main pointers, So this is our overview of tonight. As I mentioned, we're gonna review the main pointers, the key points, and do a round robin. And I would like you guys to intervene. If you don't want to put on your camera, just open your microphone, and so we can have a discussion about it. Kenton will be giving you guys a pop quiz. Nothing really hard. It's really simple. It is nothing out of this world. So, and the tentative dates of in-person training, we're still working out in the national level for this because, we gotta got to go ahead of Ministry of Health. So we gotta see all those aspects. So to start with, let's review of key points. Anybody on the presentation so far? We had remember damage assessments, needs and analysis, housing and shelter, community emergency response team, basic training. We had Mr. Kenton giving the data. What you guys? I know I have done the portal, so you can go over the training and for future references, whenever you need to know something, then you can always go back to the portal on YouTube. And also at the same time, I will be sending for tonight all the PowerPoint presentations and the videos. And we gotta review community emergency response teams. Disaster can happen and occur at any time, at any type of level. It can be man-made, it can be natural disasters. So we gotta be always prepared. And one of the main pointers is remember that we're doing this from the bottom of the heart. It is humanitarian. The human heart of us, tells us we need to actually assist other people. And well, we can go to the key points. Anybody that has questions concerning Dana, shelter management, feel free to just comment on the chat or via WhatsApp. But I would prefer you guys, to open your microphone so we can have, open discussions. So anybody that would like to intervene so far? Let's go back. I'm trying to multitask here to use both computers now so I can go back. We have day 1, day 2, day 3, 4, 5, and today, which is the 6th, which is the conclusion of the training. Now, day 1, we had the Cert Rules, remember? The day 2, we had the actual Cert basic training. We have shelter management. Day 3, we had the EOC, Emergency Operation Committee, how it involves, how Nemo works, how it operates from the national level, district level, and the village level. And also the damage assessment needs and analysis, the different forms that are utilized in order to get feedback and the assistance that is needed. Any questions, Okay, then if there is no question on the presentation, then probably we can go over, the cert roles. Remember, we have different roles and responsibilities when we are community emergency response teams. And one of our main goal is to save life, you know. We're not actually be, as I mentioned, we're not going to be professionals, but we are trying to save life at the same time, you know, to being a professional. A doctor would reach in time to save a life, you know, if we can actually apply the first aid, which we will be getting face to face. If somebody needs the assistance on anything in times, you know, of critical scenarios, then we might intervene. And remember that also community emergency response teams, we are having it in various villages that we will assist our communities and neighbors. And I remember also that you need to actually look out for your family too and yourself. And the communication aspect is very important. It's crucial to have this communication between all the team. Also, with us in Nemo, we do operate. We have a district emergency operation committee, which is the DEC, and when we activate, it's the emergency operation command center. Remember, and the communication is very important because, as we explained, we have 15 operational committees, and these committees has different responsibilities, and that's where we can assist you from the upper level. If there's a power line that is being affected in your community during an emergency response, then we can get restorations of utilities to check it out for you. If we have access, road access is not, for example, in the ferry, there's obstruction, you know, or the road is not passable, then we get mitigation, access, and infrastructure works that can intervene. Those guys are the professionals. Those are guys are, for example, this mitigation, access, and infrastructure works. They work in Ministry of Works, you know, and so forth. That is the reason why there must be communication between the village level to the district and then the district to the national. Medical care and health. For example, the COROZAL Community Hospital is the, if there is probably an outbreak in a village, it doesn't necessarily have to be during a hurricane. We do have a village emergency committee chat group, you know, where we have volunteers and people always send messages, you know, where there's we don't stick to rumors, but we stick to facts. You know, sometimes they call us and tell us, you know, there was this incident in Yochen where a pickup truck, Toyota Tacoma, flipped over, and the person was critical damage. I think one of them passed away, and that is where we need the community emergency response team and the village emergency committee that sent us the communication because if the police or they need an ambulance, you know, that is the communication aspect that they send to us, and then we send directly to the doctor that's in charge in the shift hours at the COROZAL Community Hospital. So he can send the ambulance, and at the same time, we tell the superintendent or the police, you know, the committee of search and rescue and security. So those are the important things that we need to have communication. Also, shelter management is a very broad topic, you know. Shelter management, you know, in times of disaster, we need to take shelter. We must protect our life and then property. You know, our slogan is and our logo says protect life and property. But at the same time, I think it's first protect life, then property. Because property you can always pick up back up. I mean, you can buy your refrigerator, you can buy your television, you can always pick back up, you know, recuperate. But at the same time, you know, um if you do not protect your life, then you cannot protect your property. I see Mr. Chris, you have your hand raised. Is there any questions?
Hi, it's Wendy.
Hey, Wendy.
I was wondering about the legalities of because we aren't trained. I mean, I'm a lifeguard. I've had, we've all had varying degrees of training, but if something goes wrong, are we going to be held responsible? If I mean, I know that there's like obviously a hierarchy of responsibility, but taking care of huge communities of people who are largely panicking, and showing up and doing your best, what can we be? Are we going to be? Can we be punished if we do something wrong?
Okay, Wendy, I think that is a very important question. That is the reason whenever we do any type of training, we're not professionals at the end of the day, we're trying to save life. So, um, we have, from my colleague, Mr. Kenton Param, and myself, we have had some experiences, especially when it comes to shelter, first aid. And what does first aid, your basic first aid, tells you that you will actually save a life, at the same time, if you're going to give, for example, CPR, you got to have this training, that is this is the importance of having a face-to-face, actually practicing this and first aid, for example, so you can get a certification, and that means that you pass the first aid. But when it comes to the punishment, if we're not trained to do so, then I don't think that would be the way to go to actually save a life if you don't know how to. Probably my colleague Kenton Param can actually intervene also, when it comes to this question, because Mr. Kenton Param has been in Nemo for so long. He has major experience when it comes to the different trainings, and actually actually respond your question when it comes to the legality, as how Miss Wendy said. So you can intervene, Kenton, if you want to give any of your experience.
Okay, good night, everybody. Really good question, important question. I think it's the first time I got a question kind of like that. We've never had a case where somebody was held accountable or penalized for any kind of disaster related operation that I know of, especially volunteers, um, where they had operated within the context of their assignment and training. Things do happen, and it would be unfortunate, but I don't think you would be in a situation where, like I said, you're held accountable for any wrongdoing if um, if we stay in within the context of your training and assignment, like I said. And remember, documentation is, we had stressed that in one of the sessions, and it's always good to document what you're doing, and that would be um, kind of like your get out of jail card, in a sense, to show that you had done everything according to your training and um, within the scope of the responsibility that you had. Um, and so, while it's a possibility that that could occur, like I said, I've never had an experience or know of any incident where that had occurred since Nemo was established. Um, so more, I think there was only a couple incidents with some public officers, but that was in the case of not um, negligent or anything like that. They just didn't um, show up to work or something like that. No? But in terms of like making a mistake with somebody, maybe first aid wise, medical wise, no. Um, we do the best. Everybody understand that we're out there to try and save lives and protect property. So it's a concern, but I think you would build your confidence. I know sometimes maybe people would be kind of skeptical and want to hold back. But again, for me, the 2 points is stay within the context of your training, and as the more you do it, the more experience you would have, right? And yeah, hope that helps. Um,
that's true, and also
and again, the documentation, right? Remember, that's the documentation. So nobody can fault you for something that you didn't do, or that kind of thing. And while in the first aid training that you will get a practical, I mean, it always they will teach you how to go about that process. And one of the things you always do is ask people permission if you're unsure. You know, can I do this for you, on that kind of thing.
Oh, that's true, Ken. You know, I know that from some I have had, there's this good Samaritan law that offers legal protection to people, that give reasonable assistance to people who really need it. And I know, the humanitarian aspects of trying to save person, and the documentation part is always necessary, because there must be, you just have to be in mind that there must be somebody, at least one or two persons that is around while you the assistant. That would serve as something that would be a witness you're doing, you know? So we just have to stick to the documentation part also. Always document your notepad, and ask somebody to be there in order to be a witness. So any other questions concerning the okay, we have somebody else. Mr. Felipe Caro.
Yo le pedí a mi suegra.
All is well, just listening.
Oh, okay. I saw your hand.
Please don't Alita.
That is reason, okay, no problem. Any other question? Anybody?
Espérate que haga join. No sé de qué están hablando.
Miss Jessie Aldana, you're in. You're in. We can hear you.
Okay.
Okay. I will be muting microphones, just not to have the feedback. So okay, already muted. Any other question? Anybody? So we continue. Guys, please remember that in respect of others, just mute your microphone, and whenever you want to speak, you just unmute it, please. Okay, so that is tonight's overview, and we're gonna give a round robin of. I want to hear each and everybody, to just open your microphone and say 2 things that you've learned and how it will benefit your community so far. We can start with Mr. Chris. Are you there with us? And then we continue with Miss Yam.
I would, being new to the country, knowing that there are places that are set up and pre-managed and pre-stocked to help facilitate the kind of damages and the events when something major happens, and that there are people there trained to help get the people through the situations, provide food, water, medical training, or medical assistance if need be. I didn't know anything about this. I'm really happy Phil asked me to do it, or Philippe, and I'm excited to be a part and try to learn how to get through those type of emergencies if and when they do occur.
Nice, thank you, Mr. Chris. And as you said, at the end of the day, that will benefit your community. I know that you do love Belize because Belize is so beautiful. It's full of nature and very good people. So I know this will benefit your community, your area. And since you're there, we can hear of Miss Wendy's input also.
Yeah, I'm new to we're new to the country, and I've had to do this kind of training. My mom wouldn't let me babysit until I'd taken the Red Cross babysitting course when I was 13. I'm now over 50, and I've been a coach. I've had multiple lifeguard training classes, and I've been a substitute teacher, and I've had to go through a lot of different training courses similar to this. But this is the first time I've done it out of the country, and it's a crazy time in the world right now, and you just never know what kind of factors are going to be stuck in front of you that you just have to deal with right now. And we want to be of service, and I'm thankful that this program is already in place. And for the work that you guys are doing and the opportunity to be of service and help save the world because it needs helping.
Thank you for your input, Mr. Chris and Wendy. And yeah, as you said, if we can, hopefully we can build up this community emergency response teams that Nemo, and along with, thanks to the OAS, the Organization of American States, we can build up these certs in Belize, the team of young volunteers, especially people that are young, that can actually assist in order to be a better world. This is something voluntarily, and it is not being paid, and it's just there to actually get the training, and at the end of the day assist. And I think that's a good point, Miss Wendy. Thank you very much. Miss Bibiani Yam, two things that you learned and how it will benefit your community.
So a pleasant good afternoon to one another. What I learned about the different types of a shelter, which refers to the short term and the long term, and also the different inspections when it comes with a shelter. And this is how I'll make them aware and make people know about it, because some people, when it comes to shelter, they want to take advantage when they think all the responsibility we have in that, sir.
Thank you very much, Miss Bibiani. That is so true. Miss Bibiani is a young volunteer, and she's young in age, and I really I'm grateful for all the young people also that are, they're new to this. And actually, she resides over a village by the name of San Joaquin. I've seen village, that's my village, and I guess the responsibility of being a shelter manager, as you mentioned, should not be left for all the burden for you. At the same time, we do have a community, and if we can do different shift hours of if we have 5 volunteers in the village that can manage a shelter, do and actually lag a schedule of taking turns. So I think actually, that would be less of a burden. Some of you would be charging your battery while others are working, and divide the work amongst the volunteers, especially in the village emergency committee. Thank you very much, Ms. Viviani, for interjection. We move on to Mr. Cesar May. Are you there with us, Mr. Cesar?
Okay. Hi, good night. Yes, I am Cesar, and I will be honest, I am very new to this field, right? So one of the things to start off, simple what I learned would be like the simple term CERT. Who's a CERT? What does CERT mean? Which is the community response team, right? And I had no idea what this field was. So I know what it is now and which I am hoping I can be part of, right? Willingly can help people to my community. That's one thing. And the other thing, what I learned here would be the child's policies for the shelter management, right? The child protection, then to be specific, right? I know might sound unreal, right? But in reality, there are do people, for example, children who are unaccompanied, right? Along with these discrimination that do happen. So those are one things that I can know. I'm aware now, new to this, right? So I can help children in some cases, which at first I was unaware of. Yeah, and that will do it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cesar. And you definitely are right. And there is another young volunteer here with us, Mr. Cesar. Thank you for your interjection. And remember, in a shelter, in an emergency especially, there will always be different scenarios. And we just have to know how to react to them, how we can respond to it professionally, if we're especially when we take this training. And as how other people say, we don't wait at the last minute, and when the emergency is there, and we would be all running like chicken without heads, what to do, how to do it, especially if somebody's trained in your area and can pass on the training to somebody else, that would be wow, super good. So yes, and the child's protection policy is something that we can go more in deeper whenever there's more trainings when it comes to the Nemo aspect of shelter managers, shelter management training. We can go more in depth with this topic. So whenever you want to take any training and you want to get to know more, Mr. Cesar, feel free, to contact us in Nemo, or just say, I would like to be part of this shelter management training. Also, I know Mr. Chris would be, I've touched base with Mr. Chris, some of you guys that would be interested in basic first aid, have other family members or colleagues or friends that would be interested. Thank you very much, Mr. Cesar May, for the intervention. We move on to Mr. David. Name two things that you learned and how it will benefit your community.
This is the first meeting I've participated in. I learned about the program in December from Felipe, and then Chris gave me the links today to the YouTube meetings of the earlier sessions. So I'll go through those in the next few days to learn more about the program. So I guess right now, what I've learned, I've become aware of the program, and now I have access to all the information to review. So I look forward to catching up and becoming part of the in-person training.
Okay, sorry for my bad manners. I'm really sorry. For the rest of the team, we allow me to introduce Mr. David. He's somebody that this training has caught his attention, and he wanted to join us. So whenever we do have another training, and we will do have more in the coming months as we go along. Currently, right now, we're mobilizing to shelter inspections, and then we go to other activities. We will do have more trainings, and I wish it could have been face to face. But that is how we gotta live with it. We are on top of a pandemic, and it is what it is. So we trust me, Mr. David, you will be getting this training, and also Mr. Chris have forwarded you the links on the YouTube portal channels, and you will be getting also the PowerPoint presentations, and another training you will be included. Thank you very much, Mr. David. So we move on to Mr. Felipe Fabro. Are you there with us?
Oui. Um,
Good night, Mr.
it's
Pablo.
it's very interesting. You never stop learning. I have done several types of training. I'm a first responder. I've been actually what is swift water rescue also. But what attracted my attention, what I learned is that like how Mr. Cesar might said, actually the kids' rights and also the shelter management. Okay, these are 2 points, major points, and then how to apply to the community to help. Actually, it's working together, teamwork, just to, like you said, save lives and property. But in this situation, COVID is here. Probably, uh, I'm not saying that probably we are going to get a hurricane this year or the following year, but it's very important to be prepared. Actually, not considering religion, sex, um, race. It's all about helping our brothers.
Thank you very much, Mr. Felipe. I do agree, and Mr. Felipe has been an active volunteer from past, your experience you do have in the tourism industry. Thanks for Mr. Felipe to bringing about to get more participants, in the tourism sector. Also, Mr. Sedasi and Mr. Felipe working good. I don't know who is the director there, but somebody is the director. I'm not certain. But thank you guys a lot, from the Belize Local Association of the sector in tourism, right? Thank you very much, Blast. Um, we proceed with Miss Jessie Aldana. Two things that you learned and how it will benefit your community.
Okay, good afternoon. What I learned is about shelter management, the different responsibilities and how to manage it. Here in Sardinia, really, we don't have a group that, is responsible of that, because we haven't had the opportunity to be really being stricken by a hurricane. But it would be nice to get more person in to take this, so that we can come up with a little group, no? I think that would be very important for us. And based on what I have learned, and the information that you have forwarded, I am sure that I will share it with other friends that I have, no? Not only colleagues at work, but other friends in the community, to start thinking seriously about these things, this change of weather and all those things, that we should be ready with a plan as well. No, that is one thing that I learned. And the other one is the organization by itself. I didn't know that it's so organized, no, that it has different branches, and that we have a well, offices too, to say, no, at COROZAL. That is good to get to know it. And what else I learned? The different labels of disaster. Because I think that is very important, because sometimes you see that people just take advantage of the situation, no? As the house was shown, I remember something that happened just like that in my village, no? So it is very important to learn about all those things, and if you are part of it, help you guys, so that these things don't happen. People don't take advantage of the situation.
Thank you, Miss Jessie. And we applaud you too for your time, everybody's time. But I see that you're really interested in the shelter management area, and Sartineha do have a shelter management committee. I personally trained them for shelter management. I went last year. We have 14 members in Sartineha. We have youths. We have students that are from different areas, and the village emergency committee is composed of getting these different persons trained. So I've trained them in shelter management, and if you would like, we can add you in the shelter management, and you would be receiving a package. I don't have one here in the office at the moment. I have it in the filing cabinet. It's a package where inside it has shelter forms. It has protective gear that you can use during the COVID-19. So I can add you. I'd be more than willing to add you in the chat group. As I mentioned, just food for thought. This does not involve politics. This does not involve race, religion. At the end of the day, we're there for a purpose to serve the community. And as you mentioned, sometimes the system, you just got to know it. And there is a system that is being utilized in order for us to get the assistance. So feel free if you want us, we can join today.
That is good to know, because I recall when there was a tsunami or threatening our country, there was some persons who wanted to go to the shelter, but nothing was it was not open. It was, and I get to know about 3 families that wanted to go. They were afraid. They live close to the sea, just like me, and they didn't even know who to contact. That is why I thought that there's no group in charge of that. No.
For tsunami, it is a broad topic. That's another broad topic that where there's a lot of training, and also the various institutions and departments are part of it too. Also, even the BDF, because in time of emergency tsunami, you're talking about seconds that you must respond to it. It's not like a hurricane that comes with its time. Tsunami, we're talking about. We gotta have evacuation routes. We do have a plan in Sartineha. The evacuation would be the complex in Orangewa. There are buses. The Transport Evacuation Committee has buses, and they have memorandum of understanding with them. The paying process will not hold on to anything. They have already this memorandum of understanding of how people will be evacuated from Sartineha to Orangewa. And also, what is good to know is that as we go by along and we're getting more export in, and we do have a team in Sartineha, we can probably set up a stimulation in the future. That is, of course, has to be from the national level to approve it, to do a stimulation and see how it goes if there is a tsunami in Sartineha. It's good to practice it at the end of the day.
I recall even in school doing drills in the past. There were tsunami drills. We used to take the students by the college, and when the buzzer sounds, I recall we used to move as fast as possible to the different classrooms. We used to do different drills, but because now we don't do it. And the worst with this COVID thing, well, we can't be doing those things.
Greatness, Jesse. So if you would like, we can add you in the shelter management committee, and you would be in the chat group of
I think my name was given there, but during that time, I was not good of health. That's why I didn't attend. But my name was there, but I didn't attend the training. It's a recent one, not true? That was given at the community center. Yeah.
That's right. And this one, of course, well, there was refreshments and appetizers there, because the crowd was huge, and because of the COVID-19, we did have to social distance. That is the reason we used the community center. And I think Sartineha was one of the biggest crowd. We had an approximation 60 people that volunteered
Yeah.
to take the training. Even human development went
Because
with.
I have been working with that same group for years. I recall them. Maybe I was very young going out along with my uncle was the chairman during that time and the police right when the hurricane was striking and the electricity poles were coming out trying to take out the people to the shelter. I have good experience in with different type of people of different ages who well during that time they didn't want to go to the shelter and we were looking that their houses were really not going to be able to take the hurricane, no? And we try and I have one case that I always share it with my son, a gentleman who didn't want to go to the shelter and their house was well attached one, and he prefers to go to the village cave. Well, it's not a bright idea, no? And we were trying to convince him. Then the police came with the idea of telling him that he was going to take the kids, and if he wants to stay there, well, and he went to the cave, practically he went to the cave. And then we went there to take him out. Well, that is for years that I have been working with it. No? I have passed a lot of different stories that has happened. And I used to work. I really like to work with the group, no?
You have really good experiences to tell your grandchildren, Miss Jessie. So with that being said, then we applaud all of your assistants. So each and single every single members in here, of course we do have people that take of their precious time to be here. All of us. So thank you very much and thank you, Miss Jessie, for your intervention. We move on with Mr. Jomael Verde.
Thank you guys for helping us.
Always at your services, Miss Jessie. Um, Mr. Jomael, two things that you learned and how it will benefit your community.
Well, the same thing as Miss Jessie. The first thing is shelter management. Um, I think, like you said, we already have a committee for that, and I think the best thing is I could help. It would be great too, because that's the point of getting this training to be able to help the people, the village. And the other one is how to get the data for collecting the data, helping to collect the data after the disaster. Um, like you said, it's good to know what you are doing so it can be faster and people can get their help more faster. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jomael Verde. And yes, of course, as I mentioned, there are various training. It's not just certs. At the end of the day, various people volunteer for various trainings. I can tell you of Sartenea from the top of my head have been trained for over 60 persons to utilizing the Kobo app. The Kobo app is in any cell phone devices that you have. It must have access to the Play Store or the iOS. We train you. Human development trains you of how to actually input information in your cell phone and you get that synchronized to a server in government, which would be in times of response for Nemo. And people have been trained there. And of course, we are trying to do the same thing this year, get more people to get them trained. It's always good to learn, to always have more people with us, and I applaud Sartinea for that and all the rest of the villages that did so. And thanks for your intervention, Mr. Jomael Verde. As I mentioned, I think your family to Mr. Jemael Verde, you said he was your brother, right?
Yes, he's my brother.
Okay, Mr. Jemael took the training also for Kobo app. So with that being said, then we have went with the round robin, and we're gonna go to the most important part now, the quiz. Let's see how much did you learn? Kenton, how would we operate the quiz? How would you want to operate it with the answers through this means, microphones?
Both. So we don't spend a lot of time hearing from everybody, So what we could do is everybody that hears the question or can read it could just type or message in the message in the chat the answer, and then you'll have a record of that as well. And then maybe a couple people can answer, at least one or two.
I will be pending in the WhatsApp and the message. So whenever you're, giving the quiz, so I can just intervene and say who says what,
Okay. So it's not a lot of questions. It's just to kind of more a refresher and to see. It helps us as well as the facilitators to see where to focus training on, and also to see how effective the sessions were, and just listening to a couple people that were giving their what they have learned is encouraging. And with time you will have more opportunity to get trained and also to get some experience. And we know it's a lot of information that we have thrown at you over the last 5 days, and so we don't expect you to remember every single thing. This type of thing comes with practice, so, and comes with a little bit of experience. So yeah, we will, I guess Ronnie will be switching the slide. Okay. You could go through the other ones. These were just pictures of a session we did in Placencia. So I guess Miss Ogales didn't have enough time to put up some from you guys' session. So could still get to that.
But trust me, I have the group COROZAL and Placencia one together, so we can send all of you guys, and it will be included in this presentation.
Yeah, and also coming up is the you can switch slide. Until we get to the first question, the practical session, and hopefully we can do a short simulation or exercise that will help you guys to grasp even more of the information that that you had received over the last couple of days. Okay. Next slide, Ron. All right, the first one is, right, you can just probably message the letter A, B, C, or D instead of type out everything, right? The minimum recommended water supply in a shelter per day is A, 5 gallons per person per day, 3 bottles, and what size bottles that? Say a liter. 1 quart per person per day, or D, 1 gallon per person per day. This is the minimum that we're supposed to have in a shelter to get us by with sanitation and everything.
Okay, we have the
so A, B, C, or D. Anybody can put on a mic and pick one, and then maybe somebody else in the next question. You are getting some feedback, Ronnie?
Yes.
I think it's A.
5 gallons per person per day.
I agree. A.
How about D?
3 bottles, 1 quart, or 1 gallon per day per person? All right. The answer to that one is D. 5 gallons would be ideal. And in some shelter, you might have that with the kind of water storage that is there. But remember the key word here is minimum, right? The minimum recommended water supply per shelter per person. Right? If we get below that minimum, then we might be experiencing some situations there in terms of sanitation and having enough potable drinking water. So the answer for that one from the shelter management training is D. All right.
We have Joel that said D.
All right. Don't be disturbed if you pick a wrong thing, right? Because it's not about, we're not to grade you or give you a percentage, right? It's just basically a review, right? Let's see what you get. Who should be included in your family emergency plan? A, children, B, parents, C, pets, or D, all of the above? Said who should be included. So you could probably, for this question, you could probably have more than one.
We're having the answer and the correct answers too.
Is it? What's the answer?
Okay, everybody answered. They answered D.
Okay, very good. It's D. All, you can't forget your pets too, right? Okay, good, very good.
Good.
Are pets allowed in a shelter? That's an additional question, right? But you had pets there. CERT is making the communities safer and more, fill in the blank, and more resilient when incidents occur. A, prepared, B, stable, C, happy, and D, aware. Is it A, prepared, B, stable, C, happy, or D, aware?
We have the answer so far.
Okay.
Everybody answered A.
Okay.
Prepared.
I thought maybe some people would want to argue with me and say, well, we're making them stable and aware as well, right? Which is true, right? And even C, right? But the question was geared to the primary function of certs, right? All right, very good. Next. Personal preparedness should be tailored to the hazard in your community and should include all the following concepts. A, learning about early warning system, developing plans and practicing them, reducing hazard in the home, assembling disaster supplies in only one location. So I guess you need to combine this, I guess. Personal preparedness should be tailored to the hazards in your community and should include all the following except, except which one would you eliminate? Which one is not necessary or which one shouldn't be there? Is it A, learning about early warning systems, B, developing plans and practicing them, exercise, C, reducing hazards in your home? Or is it D, assembling disaster supplies in one location?
Okay, look like we have different answers.
Look, I read it again good, because I think you threw me the first time too, right? Personal preparedness should be tailored to the hazards, be it a hurricane, a tsunami, flood, right? In your community, and should include all the following except, right? So there's 3 things that you should do, and there's 1 thing that you shouldn't do. It's asking you for the 1 thing that you shouldn't do, right? A, learning about early warning systems. Is that something you should be doing? B, developing plans and practicing them. Is that a good thing to be doing? Reducing hazards in your home. Is that part of your emergency plan? Or D, assembling disaster supplies in only one location.
Okay, and people, 1 response from B, 4 response from B, and 1 C.
Okay. Okay, the answer to that would be D, right? You want to be doing all of those things except D, right? You want to assemble your disaster supplies, but
Kenton, are you
not in
there?
only one location, right? All of those are necessary preparedness activity, right? All right, next. CERT members should always wear complete safety equipment, including, so this is what you need to be wearing, right? You need A, helmet, sturdy shoes, goggles, work gloves, mask. B, breathing apparatus for smoke-filled rooms or areas. C, backpack containing a fire extinguisher. And C, D, can't read it so good because it's being blocked by that ribbon, right? Specialized equipment for hazardous materials. Right, remember now you're first responders, you're not professionals, right? So which is the one that you would not be wearing?
We have the correct answer. We have a smart team here, Kenton.
That's good. So the answer is
everybody put A.
okay.
Which,
I think if they put A, they misunderstood the question. So
I would
CERT members should always wear complete safety equipment, including, means what you should have, right? Helmet, sturdy shoes, goggles, work gloves, mask, breathing apparatus for smoke-filled rooms or areas. So there's a special mask if you go in a smoke area. If you don't have that, then you don't go in, right? Backpack, right? I already show you your backpack already, right? The only thing you never show you a fire extinguisher, but if you have fire extinguisher would be good per team. As CERT, right? D, Specialized equipment for hazardous material. Would you as CERT be going into a situation where there's hazardous materials? Remember the level of training you have, right?
Okay, I get the question. You prepared a tricky question, Kenton.
The answer is
We have one specialized equipment for hazardous material.
right. That's the one that you won't have, because that's a situation that you won't be going into, right? As CERT. Now, if you elevate and you get specialized training, then while you can still operate as CERT, you will operate mostly on a specialized team, right? Because you have, gotten specialized training to do that kind of thing, right? Which we hope that some of you would eventually get, right? So yes, the correct answer there is D, right? Because you as CERT, if you're deployed and you're in the field, you want to have your helmet, you want to have on good shoes, you want to have your goggles, right? For debris, or if anything could, to protect your eyes, right? You want to have work gloves if you have to be lifting anything, debris. And of course, you want to have your mask. If it's available, you want to have breathing apparatus for smoke-filled rooms or areas, if you have to get in a situation like that. And you will see that when you do this light search and rescue, right? Training, when that is arranged, right? And you need to have a backpack with different items in it, right? Including your triage, ribbons, and so forth. Right? So yes, the correct answer here is D, because you won't be going into a situation like that. We won't put you in or allow you to go into that situation, right? Because remember, your safety is first, paramount, right? So you don't want to be a part of the casualties. So again, it goes back to the question I think Wendy had asked. You will operate within the confines of your training. All right, Ronnie?
You tricked me up with that, Kenton.
It's a good reminder that your training will take you so far, right? And then so you don't get into trouble, or you don't get compromised yourself, and then others as well, right? All CERT decisions are made with what key question in mind? Who is the incident commander in this situation? How quickly can CERT assist the survivors? Is it safe for CERT members to attempt this task? And D, I can see there. When will personal responders something at the scene reach, I guess?
When will professional responders arrive at the scene?
Arrive at the scene. Okay, which is the most important question that you should ask as a CERT member, or keep in your mind? I just mentioned it in our last slide.
We have one, two answers.
Mm-hmm.
Three answers. They're saying C.
Correct. Absolutely. Right? Is it safe for CERT members to attempt this task? Right? If it is not safe, then you don't attempt. Safety is first. That's the first thing you do as CERT, your team leader. will size up the situation, right? We have what one term we call cert size up. It is where you look at the situation and you determine if it's something that you should do or you shouldn't do, right? And you conduct size up at your team leader can call for a size up at any given point. You could have started the operation and you get halfway in there and you call a size up, or you assess the situation to make sure that it is safe for you to continue and that kind of thing, right? If you are in a situation and it gets dangerous, then they pull you out. And then the specialized team can go in, right? All right, good. Next one. How much time do you have to prepare when a preliminary alert is issued for a hurricane? How much time? You remember how much hours when the prelim come out? Anybody?
We have one response. 72.
72 hours is correct. I have 72 hours when the preliminary announcement is made. All right. Remember that there are times when, depending on the speed, intensity of the hurricane or the location where it originates from, right? We could completely skip the preliminary phase and go right to red one, right? Which is a watch, right? For tropical storm / hurricane. Okay. 72 hours is correct for that.
I think they should get it.
Pardon?
I think the other question, they should get it. Everybody.
Yeah.
We proceed with the next question, Kenton?
Yeah, guys, they don't answer that one. CERT is an acronym that means, somebody tell me.
Community Emergency Response Team.
Correct. All right. That is CERT, Community Emergency Response Team. So it's a community team, community effort, right? You're operating at the community level, right? Of course, with the support of district agencies and the district EOC and the national EOC, right? Because then you form part of that organization as CERT. Because remember now Nemo is at the community level as well. So very good, very good. All right. Next. Define mitigation in your own words. Not worry about all them big terms you want me to use. What a mitigation? Well, tell me in a Creole if you want. Not Spanish though, because I can't understand Spanish.
Just make the effect of a problem smaller.
Make the, all right.
The effect of a disaster smaller.
Okay, good.
Or minimize it.
Right. You minimize the impact, right? So it's any action or any program or anything like that that you do that will minimize the impact of disaster. So you could have a big mitigation strategy and you could have a simple mitigation task like digging a drain, right? So very good. That tells me you understood. Anybody else? in your own words, or you could write it in a text.
Miss Wendy Carter said less severe.
Less severe. Did I hear? I'm not sure if I hear you good.
Yes, Miss Wendy Carter says less severe.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Rafael Castillo says rebuild stronger to avoid catastrophe.
Good. Both of those are correct, Miss Wendy, and thing in the context of what we're discussing. Yeah. So the impacts would be less severe, and the other gentleman is saying build stronger, right? Which would also make the impacts less severe and minimize the impacts.
Miss Bibiane says to decrease the effect of something.
Okay.
And Miss Wendy Carter says do the best you can with the resources you have.
All right. Good. All good answers. Next slide. How many Nemo warehouses are there? You remember?
2.
If you can't remember, then tell me where is the closest Nemo warehouse to you? You could pick the district.
Orange Walk District.
Okay. Correct, right, Ronnie?
Miss Jessie Aldana, it is in Orange Walk, yes. That is correct, but I'm gonna give you a defined location of it, like where exactly. Orange Walk, but where in Orange Walk? Do you recall? Anybody? But Orange Walk is correct.
Okay, you might have to share that specific location with them. It's good for them to know.
Orange Walk, it is in the area of Nuevo San Juan.
Okay. Okay, so good. Another important location for you, it's not up here, but where is your EOC in COROZAL? If anybody remember, you could text it up there. But Ronnie, it's good to reassure them and give them that info as well. All right, next question.
Star Apple Street.
Star Apple Street. Well, I don't know if that's correct. Ronnie would have to.
That is correct. And the rest, Mr. Shan says Santa Rita, Chef Shan says Santa Rita, Rafael Castillo says Santa Rita, Miss Wendy says Santa Rita also. So they're all correct.
Okay, very good. So
Good listeners.
you know where to go to. All right. Define EOC. You could do this. You could tell me what are the acronym, or you could tell me give me a statement about what it is. I guess that's the primary part.
Emergency Operations Center.
Okay. And what's the primary task for an EOC? Remember, I give you 2 words. I tell you, these are the shortest definition for the function of EOC. I'll give you a clue. 2 of them begin with C. C and
Command
C.
and control.
Right. Good. All right. You guys are with me. All right. Next one, Ronnie. We're done early tonight. What is Dana? Besides the name of a person, what is Dana?
What is Dana?
Mhm. Your answer could be in function or statement in regards to what it is. Any hits? What is Dana?
We have Mr. Jomael saying emergency response team.
Emergency response team? Technically, that is correct because Dana is a part of an emergency response team. It's a team that goes out as part of the emergency response, yes.
Miss Wendy Carter, damage assessment.
Right. Correct. Dana is responsible for damage assessment, right? And needs analysis is the next two letters, right? But the whole purpose of Dana is to collect data, like information, so we can assess the level that damage is, right? And to see what impact it has on livelihood and the economy, infrastructure, so forth. All right, very good. You're getting it. Next one. All right, this one a little bit more involved. Let's see. A Category 5 hurricane approaching Belize. The official shelters on the list are full and thousands of people still need shelter. What should Nemo do to help save the remainder of the people? The official shelters. I remember Ronnie talking about different kind of shelters, right? Read the question good. The official shelters, meaning the shelters that you see on the shelter list. But Nemo have a lead backup and well, I don't kind of let the cat out of the bag, but Nemo have a he carved up and sleeve some in regards to this, right? And I heard Ronnie mention it in his presentation.
We have sir. We have an answer. Additional shelters. Miss.
Backup listed shelters.
Right, backup shelters. Good. So there's
Miss
always a list of backup shelters that are not on the list, right? It doesn't mean they're not as strong. They're not on the list because they're not public buildings, right? And so we don't advertise people's private property, but normally we have a plan and we consult them beforehand. And so we'll have that backup list in the case we get in a jam situation like this, right? And then we would open those shelters and direct traffic towards them. Good.
Miss Wendy Carter, still correct. Additional shelters.
Same thing. Very good, Miss Wendy. Same additional shelter. We use the term interchangeably. Additional shelters, backup shelters. Scenario. You are alone at the shelter situation. When you arrive, you meet 70 people. There are about 30 young children and toddlers. Some of them can be heard wheezing, like if they got kind of cough or breathing issue. Right? A purple rash is evident on several adults and children. Some of the families are complaining that they need food. A pregnant woman is crying out in pain, saying she is giving birth. There is no electricity, and with the high humidity, the building is very hot. Smoke is coming from the rear of the shelter. The building seems to be infested with roach and rat bats.
A good
You
one.
reach the shelter, right? And for some reason, a shelter shouldn't have been opened without a shelter manager, right? And the shelter team in place. But you reach this building, right? Whatever reason, the community leader or somebody open this building and allow people to go in it, right? So you reach there now, we have to pick up the tab, we have to pick up where we're at. And you drive up to this building, you jump out of this building with your team, and whether your team or you by yourself. And this is a situation you find all of these things hit you in the yes, right? First of all, you have 70 people. Your job is to try and figure out your sequence of action, right? And your course of action here in terms of shelter warden or shelter manager. 30 young children and toddlers, breathing problem, breathing issue with some of them, purple rash, several adults and children. So got 4 issues what we deal with so far if you count with me. Hungry, and complain about food, so that's another issue. Number 6, pregnant woman about to deliver. Or 7, no electricity. 8, hot in the building. 9, possibility of a fire. Right? So smoke is coming from the rear of the shelter. And 10, you have rodent infestation. What would you do? Anybody? There's no wrong or right answer here, right? This is just to help you think.
You know, Miss Wendy funded delegate responsibilities. Delegate responsibilities.
Okay.
Ask what people gifts are medical trainers, cooks, etc. What are resources and triage, which are the preliminary assessment of patients or casualties.
Triage, okay.
Triage.
All right. Okay, good. The important thing there here, the triage, because you have medical issues. So once you have medical issues, that should what? That should take priority, right? So what let me ask you this way, because you have 2 issues that I'm looking at, right? But which one of these situation would require your immediate attention? You got a lot of them. Some of them you don't have to deal with. You can't even deal with it. And then but some of them are critical, right? So which one you think is the most critical that you need to pay attention to?
The pregnant woman first, then deal with the people with rash, and then the children that are wheezing.
Okay,
so
remember, if you show up there as Cert and you're the team leader and you size up this situation, right? Your Cert team show up there and you size up the situation, you deal with the pregnant woman, you say, right?
Correct.
Remember,
And then
remember what is the first thing you ask yourself?
Remember,
this is
remember it is a teamwork.
What's
And
the
you will
question?
delegate different members of the team to tackle each one of the problems. But
Right.
I think the most important one would be health issues.
Okay, but what is the question you ask yourself as a cert? The most important question.
which one is more critical, which one to attend first.
Right.
So you do the pregnant woman first, then the adults with a purple rash, and then the kids with the wheezing. So the health department will do the
protocol
thing.
for triage, where you're determining the most critical from not. But there, I'm trying to hit at something. There is a question even before you start to think about triage. There's a question that you ask yourself as cert, and you don't want to forget this.
You have to figure out why there's smoke in the shelter.
Right.
Is the shelter
Safety,
safe?
right? You have to assess the team if, the situation, if it is safe for you to even start any kind of operation in there, right? So the priority would be, because you don't want to get in there and start to work and then everything balloon up in flames, right? So you would check out the fire, right? And then from there you make your plan action based on the situation and based
So
on
you
the
have to
triage.
evaluate the
You
situation.
might have to evacuate, but even if you have to evacuate them and move them out, you still have the rush, you still have the pregnant woman, right? You still have all of these things, so you still have to go through the process of picking the ones that are most priority and getting them out, right? So very good. You the thought process to see how the exercise would help you to reinforce all the information we've kind of thrown at you over the last couple of days. The exercise is really, so I'm looking forward to you guys doing that exercise. Hopefully, maybe I can reach there. But exactly right, you deal with the fire, because that can be another hazard within itself, right? Deal with the fire. Once that is taken care of, or you could multitask, and just to make sure, right? Somebody deal with the two most critical the team leader would get persons to deal with two most critical situation, which is one, the fire, because you're a team, right? So you could multitask that team, the fire and the pregnant person, pregnant woman, right? From there on out, you go according to your triage. All right. Good. And what's another critical thing that you would immediately do? I said it was the lifeline of an operation in one of my other presentations. You remember? Anybody? All right. You can't forget that you must communicate with the Emergency Operations Center, the EOC, right? So very good. Next. All right, these are the in-person session that we have planned coming up. Fire safety, an emergency drill, CPR and first aid, light search and rescue, right? And I think there's 2 days, Friday night and Saturday, light search and rescue. So these are the in-person sessions. And these sessions will help you to to kind of again grasp in greater detail or understanding the information that you've received over the last 5 days, especially with the drill. And hopefully we can do a comprehensive, small exercise, right? And work with some of these scenarios that we, as the example we just got through. So that would be it. Ronnie would be in contact with you guys and communication, and he will let you know when these session would be happening. You know?
And we have concluded the training. Wonderful, guys. Thanks to our facilitators also, Kenton and Miss Renice. She couldn't make it today and she really wanted to. She had an emergency, right, Kenton?
Yes, she's not feeling really well. So let's hope and pray that she recovers quickly.
That is right. And I would like to take this time, if there's not any questions concerning the training, because I know that you guys might your time is important, and some of you guys have come home and are very tired. I just want to thank you all. If there's no questions, thank you very much of your time, of your input. I think you have learned and taken a great knowledge and vast information with you. And if you can get along more people, from your community, feel free to always call. You can call me. You have my number. You have Kenton Param's number. You have anybody. If you want to go to the south, also, Mr. Kenton Param is the coordinator there. Feel free to always give. I would just like to applaud you all for the excellent work. You guys deserve it. And to the OAS also to be giving you the privileges to actually initiating all of these programs. And we are looking forward to set up a day. I think it's 3 more days, which is face to face, to actually get your certification to do the face to face trainings. And also your equipment. Remember, you guys will be receiving equipments, a bag full of the community emergency response teams package. And questions, the floor is open for questions, concerns.
I just want to express my gratitude as well, and I want to thank Ronnie for giving me the opportunity to participate and share what I have. It's been a pleasure. I'm encouraged by your commitment. It's hard nowadays to find people who would commit to something like this. So I'm very much encouraged by that. I can tell by the answers and the questions and so forth that you're engaging, which is good. These types of thing comes with some experience and some practice, and so training is ongoing, and so don't take advantage of the opportunities when they come along. My only regret is that we couldn't be face to face to do these kinds of sessions, which is a lot more fun. But I hope that you guys would maybe by some chance I get to be in COROZAL when you do the practical, right? So again, thank you guys. Thank you for the opportunity. And I hope to maybe meet some of you all sometime.
Thank you as well, Kenton. The second one is veteran in Nemo. He has way more experience. He's one of the persons from the very start, Now, thank you very much, Kenton, and Miss Renice also for doing an excellent job. All of you guys, please. would like to conclude the training and tell all of you goodbye.
Good night. Good night.
Good night. Good night, guys.
Big thanks to you all.
Thanks very much.
You're all welcome. You're all welcome.
Thank you and good night.
Good night.